Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Research Files. I'm Gary Waddell. We have an ambitious program scheduled for tonight. We'll talk about an intervention technique that may help athletes, a process to retrieve rare earth minerals, and a new research network in Nevada. We'll end with an inspirational story from the College of Engineering. A lot to get to, so we'll jump right in. As always, we start the evening with Vice President at the Office of Research and Economic Development, Tom Piota. Tom, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Sounds like a great show tonight.
It does. We got a lot going on. So we should be quick about all this. First, you got the recipient of the Harry Reid Silver State Research Award, the 2015. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Professor Deb Martin. She was our recent recipient. This award was really to both honor Senator Harry Reid, the great work that he's done for Nevada, but also honor one of the works of our faculty, and this is a faculty in anthropology. She does really great work on looking at prehistoric remains and the impact of violence from prehistoric remains, and she's able to work with like the coroner office with these types of and the findings that she has, and there's real applications in work like this. But she's done great work over the years here at UNLV, and we're able to recognize her for that work.
Very good. Congratulations to her and to your program. Dan Garrity is scheduled to appear on our next program. I understand he just received some funds for his research.
Yeah, this is one of our newer faculty, Daniel Garrity. The EPA and the White House actually recognized that this year. They were recognizing water sustainability and things going on in the community on good work that was going on, and he does work on water reuse and conservation, and we don't have much water around here, so we need to really do all we can to reuse and conserve it, and he's got a big EPA grant to do that.
Very good. Finally, your office created a new video. Want to take a look at that, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Let's go ahead and play it, and we can talk about it.
Very interesting. Where is this going to be seen, and what's the hope of this
so
video?
The really purpose of this is to, in a very short way, in a 30-second video, really to highlight the value of research, the great research going on at the university, so it can be promoted both on our website, but also, in a 30-second commercial if we need to, but if we're making presentations on the work that's going on, but really highlighting that UNLV is involved in research, and it's important and it has impact on the community in a lot of different ways, both for advancing findings, but has community impact also. Whether it's around economic development or addressing societal issues also.
I know since I've started doing this show, I've just been amazed at the amount of research that's being done at UNLV.
And this is just another way to get that message across. People want to be able to see videos like this and be able to capture that in a very short way.
Very good. Tom, thank you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks for being with us.
Right.
We'll be right back.
DAV stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
Our first guest is Professor of Psychology, Brad Donahue. Welcome, Brad. Nice to have you here. You're doing family therapy in kind of a different way. You come from sort of a sports background. You were a boxer, and you're using UNLV athletes to do research about all sorts of things. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically when I was younger at the University of Kansas, I was boxing very competitively, and of course, you could recognize different stressors that other athletes are experiencing, that you're experiencing, and so I knew that later on in my career I'd like to go ahead and develop a program explicitly for athletes. I'm a clinical psychologist, so what I basically do is help people with their problems, and so and basically what I didn't like is that those kind of programs were focusing on pathology or what's wrong with you. And so, this new program that we're developing is called the Optimum Performance Program in Sports. And basically it takes a very innovative approach to working with athletes and working with individuals in general. And that is, we don't look at things as if there's a problem existing. We pretty much look at it like for every particular behavior or thought that a person has, they're on some kind of scale of optimization. So you can go from non-optimal all the way up to optimal. optimal. And everybody's, somewhere on that continuum, and our job is to just basically get them so that they're optimally functioning, whether it's sport performance or their mental health or, dating their girlfriend and being respectful, anything.
You're using UNLV athletes as some of the subjects for this research.
Yeah, so what we did was we basically had a grant from the National Institutes of Health that was for $2 million to go ahead and evaluate and test out this new approach to intervention that involves family members. We'll have, say, a mom or a grandmother on a Skype. We'll maybe have the coach or a teammate in the actual meeting with us, and we call them performance meetings because that's what we're really charged to do, is to try to enhance their performance. So we basically randomly assign them to this program or to traditional counseling programs, and we're trying to find out if this program actually works relative to what's the state of the art.
It's more positive though than just positive thinking, right? It's sort of a whole new approach to
it really
how
is.
you deal with the problem.
Yeah, it really is, because what we look at is that holistically we want to be involving everybody in that person's environment and actually get them knowing about what kind of goals the athlete has, not only in sports but also in life in general and their future. And we want to try to help them to achieve those goals, and we believe that the people that are close around them, if we can get them understanding what they're looking for, we can help them to achieve those goals. We'll have an overly zealous parent sometimes. They mean well, they love their kid, they want really well for their child, but they don't know quite how to say it to them and in a way that's going to help them to maybe focus. That could be an example. We might have a coach and the athlete maybe not seeing eye to eye on something, so we might bring them both together and then kind of do communication skills types of interventions.
We've seen a lot of the problems in pro sports lately, and does that kind of enter into your thinking about how to deal with situations like that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we're almost done with this trial, and we've actually gotten some preliminary results that have already been in print, and they look pretty promising. We're not quite there yet, though, as far as calling it a definitive intervention, but we've already talked with people from the NBA players, development, and same thing with NFL, and they're really excited about waiting and seeing what's going to go on. I know that I talked with John Barr from ESPN and Outside the Lines about the kind of program that we're doing and how it's so different and unique, and which is why the NIH has invested so much funding to help to support this program to see if it actually works. So
and
really
you say
excited.
so far you're looking at good results?
So far it's very promising, and we'll know definitively in about another year or so.
And then where do you go from there?
Well, from there it basically just expands. We might want to try to evaluate it with other universities, maybe randomly assigning different universities to the TOPS program or their traditional way that has been shown to be effective, and then try to see if we can really get a boost in its effectiveness.
Very interesting, Brad. Thank you very much. Good luck with your research.
Thank you.
And with all of it, and let's make a difference in the world.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we'll be right back.
Drownings are a leading cause of death for young children. Make sure kids learn how to swim. Always watch them in and around water and properly fence all pools. Simple steps save lives. To learn some new ones, visit poolsafely.gov.
Welcome back. Joining us now, Chemistry and Biochemistry Chair and Professor David Hatchett. Welcome. Thank you very much for being here tonight. I'm going to be honest, I read over your bio and I'm still not quite sure I know what you do. Explain it to us if you could.
Well, I'm an electrochemist by training, so everything I do is looking at materials through an electrochemist perspective.
Electrochemist being?
It could be plating, so recovering
Okay.
materials. It could be catalysts. It could be a lot of different things.
Well, you just developed or discovered a solvent that enables you to reclaim rare earth elements from
That's right.
Spent materials.
That's right.
Reusing, the ultimate recycling maybe.
Well, right now China has about 90% of the market on rare earths. So from a strategic perspective, the United States doesn't really want that. So what we do is find ways of recovering those materials that we have rather than putting them in a landfill.
And rare earth elements are?
Lanthanum, samarium, they're used in a variety of different electronic applications, rare earth magnets, fluorescent lighting, you name it. But there's a lot of materials out there that just end up going into a disposal site as opposed to reclaiming these materials.
The process you use to come up with the solvent use and to do it?
The solvent is, you can't do it with aqueous solutions, so water is out.
Oh, okay.
So we had to find a solvent that had no water, which then leads you to what's called an ionic liquid. So it's basically a salt, but it's a salt that is a liquid at room temperature with no water. And because of that, you can do electrochemistry and you can reclaim materials that you couldn't reclaim any other way.
And this sets us more on a par with China, or it helps us?
It provides an alternative for us to develop some refining technologies that don't exist in the United States right now.
I know there are some rare earth mineral mines down across state line in California. Is that like the U.S. source of it? Or
we have a huge source of rare earths, but we don't have the ability to refine them. So this is a methodology that might help us refine them.
Oh, very good. You've applied for some patents, 3, I guess?
Yeah, we have 3 patents. One of them is the rare earth, 2 of them are for actinide, so looking at reclaiming uranium and other things that are useful, and using electrochemical methods in the same solvent.
Does this spread out to things like nuclear energy and things like that? We're looking, because that's one of the issues with nuclear energy is all the spent fuel.
So about 80% of spent fuel is reclaimable, but you have to get rid of the stuff that's been used and reclaim what is useful. And so our techniques could theoretically be used for that.
Why aren't we doing it? Because you're not done yet?
Because I'm not a politician.
Very good, very good. So where does all this lead in the long run? Does it?
Well, I think
I don't know how it applies to my life, other than those rare earth element magnets I've got that keep things on the refrigerator.
I think anytime we can reclaim useful materials from things that go into a dump, right? That helps everybody. I mean, the goal is really to be able to reclaim useful materials that we don't have an infinite supply of.
Recycling to the nth power.
Recycling, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
How long a project is this?
This project
forever, or?
Well, it's been funded now for almost 10 years,
Wow.
But we started not knowing anything, and now we know a lot more than just about anybody.
Wow.
So the advantage to that is people come to us now and say, "Can you attack this problem with that system?" And we say, "Well, we'll certainly try."
Very good. So you were doing more than just clinical research at a university site.
Oh yeah, we
reaching out into the community.
We actually work with a company that's looking at reclaiming molybdenum, which is used in cancer research imaging.
Yes.
And so we are developing the electrochemical methods for that.
Very good. Well, good luck with your work in the future. We thank you very much for being with us tonight. I appreciate it. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I remember the moment clearly.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
I realized at that moment, when we first saw the damage, these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference, right here in my community. Together with local responders, we cleared trees and collapsed walls. We had to get to the family trapped beneath. As a citizen soldier, I made a difference.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome back. Our next guest is Dr. Jay Shan. He is professor and associate dean with the School of Community Health Sciences here at UNLV. Jay, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're talking your work. You're trying to establish a palliative care research network here in Nevada. Tell us what that is and what you're doing.
Okay. Yes, this is a nice kind of a project trying to establish a palliative care research network in Nevada, because we don't have this one at all. And in fact, palliative care is the area where we don't have a capacity to provide a lot of services, because the health insurance company usually will not cover this kind of services. So we're kind of severely lack of services in Nevada, although we have a high demand. So this is a nice project funded by the Pecoria, which is Patient-Centered Outcome Research Institute. Kind of, they have money from got money from Congress, and then they allocate this money to different states, trying to improve the patient quality of care, patient safety, and trying to improve the effectiveness of delivering healthcare services in our communities.
There was a lot of competition to get this money, wasn't there?
Yes, actually, this is our project is the first one that from Nevada received this kind of a palliative care grant. So we're pretty kind of excited about this. And we were told that the only 17% of the proposals were funded by Pecuria in that round. So we're the very first one. Also, through this grant, we're going to try to work with first of all, with different department colleges on campus, such as like the School of Social Work and the School of Nursing, and scholars over there. And then we're trying to do more community outreach to work with the community partners in our southern Nevada as well as the entire Nevada. So far we have been working with the facilities such as Dignity Health and Nelson Alderson Hospice and Elaine Wayne Elaine Wayne Palliative Care Program, Sunrise Hospitals, and Nevada Palliative Care. Those kinds of things. We're going to expand our kind of partnership during our second phase. We just finished our first phase in February. We're going to start our second phase in May.
I know a few doctors who are sort of begrudgingly going to an electronic system rather than a paper system. How does that affect moving to an electronic system for patient records affect healthcare?
Yeah, that's a very important kind of aspect of healthcare right now. We have been doing this for over 10 years under the federal support from the federal government, and there's many resources that have been allocated to this area, trying to make the health information technology a meaningful use for healthcare, which means by using the health information system and health information technology, trying to improve the quality of care as well as trying to reduce the cost of care. Because the USA is the most important, the most expensive healthcare system in the entire world. So we're trying to control the cost, as meantime improve quality of care.
You've looked at the Affordable Care Act as well, and how is that affecting? A lot of people got their prime health care came from the ER. How's that affecting that?
Yeah, this is a very important current policy kind of issue in the entire country, because the affordable care is such an important policy, new policy to trying to reshape the U.S. healthcare system. And since the implementation January 1st, 2014, we have almost 2 years, over 2 years of this new policy initiative. So we want to look at are there any impact of this policy on the healthcare delivery in our communities. So currently we're working on several projects that are trying to examine at least the early effect of the ACA on the hospital care, emergency room visits, as well as maybe dental care or children's care, this kind of thing. So this is very important. We're in the process of data analyzing right now, and we almost got some kind of early kind of results. We're trying to get published in the media or in the peer-reviewed journals pretty soon.
Can you talk about some of those early results?
Oh yeah, because basically Affordable Care wants to expand insurance coverage for everybody in our country, and Nevada is one of the states that are implementing the Medicaid expansion program, which means we're trying to expand our Medicaid program to cover more formerly uninsured patients. And we already saw the declining in the uninsured population in Nevada, as well as an increase in the Medicaid population in our state. And the next question I want to ask is that we already see the increase or decrease in terms of the enrollment. How about the effect on the patient care, about care delivery? And we have been looking at trying to see the preventable or avoidable or unnecessary visits, as well as hospital admissions, trying to reduce the cost. And our early results so far, I just checked the results.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, last week we found some kind of appealing kind of results, which means at least at this moment we see the results show some kind of effect, positive effect from the ACA on the reduction of the preventable ER visits among the Medicaid population.
Oh, very good. Very good. Dr. Shan, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks. We'll be right back.
We had been called up for the first time. Wildfires were getting close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
With Gary and Todd?
Yeah?
I've been meaning to ask you, is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Our final guest this evening is Brendan OToole, who has a slew of titles behind his name. He is a professor of mechanical engineering, director of the Center for Materials and Structures here at UNLV. You must not have one heck of a business card. Can you carry it around to have all of that on it?
Yeah, you get one new position and the old ones don't seem to go away.
Okay. Talk about this, the hand you built for 4-year-old Haley Dawson. The picture is just phenomenal to see her, ready to throw the baseball. And tell us, how did that come about and what is it?
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing story. It came about initially, her mom called us, actually sent emails looking for help. She had heard something called RoboHand, where you could download a design for a 3D printed hand, print it, and with relatively low cost, have a prosthetic hand. And so we had the facilities. We have 3D printers. We had students interested in design. And so when we looked into it, it looked like something we could do.
And how has it changed her life?
In some ways, it lets her feel special. That gives her, the hand itself looks somewhat realistic. Mm-hmm. The function is not great. That's one of the things that we're excited about it. It's relatively new technology. They weren't around really 3 years ago, these low cost hands, but they can be improved a lot. So we have students working on ways to improve the hand. So it helps her. It helps her perform some functions, but our hands, we can do 34 different grips, and that can do one. So we've got a lot of work to do to make it better.
But what made this so appealing to you?
It's a great project. It's human interest, the fact that we can help her and hopefully help other people as well that have similar problems, and it's a great design project. We use real life projects in our curriculum. So this is a project that undergraduate students, graduate students can work on, not only have challenging engineering problems to solve, but also be able to help someone in the process.
I know what 3D printers do. I know sort of how they work, but they are still just mind-boggling to me. How do you get your head around a 3D printer?
It is revolutionary technology. If you think about computers in the 90s, how they changed every 6 months or a year, there was if you had a computer for 3 years, it was old and outdated. The same thing is sort of happening with 3D printers. They're rapidly evolving. They can use a lot of new materials. New materials are being added, and we have to learn how to design with things that are made in 3D printers. So we're changing the way we teach classes, how we teach manufacturing, and how we design products.
Do you see prosthetics as being one of the major areas for this?
Sure, absolutely.
There's also the Mendenhall Institute, which you're involved with.
Right. So the Mendenhall Innovation Program in the College of Engineering was started by Bob Mendenhall. So an incredible inventor and businessman in Las Vegas. He's been in the Las Vegas Valley for a long time. Same Mendenhall from the basketball arena. He also has funded the Mendenhall program in the College of Engineering, helped us create our manufacturing facilities, design lab. And one of the interesting projects, his goal, since he was an inventor and entrepreneur, he wanted more engineering students to be entrepreneurial and potentially start their own businesses. So we recently collaborated with Lee Business School, the Center for Entrepreneurship. We received a grant from NSF to establish an innovation course site. And the iCourse site actually the funding we received, we're going to be able to fund up to 65 teams over the next 3 years to investigate commercializing something out of their research lab or design lab. Each team can get up to $3,000. They have to commit to using an NSF-approved curriculum to evaluate whether their idea has commercial potential. So we're really excited about that. That's just getting started, and that all was, that was one of the things that came out of the Mendenhall Innovation Program.
Is this sort of, we've seen the tech bubble or the tech explosion of the tech companies as mostly information management and things like that. Is this the next one of those?
It's something like that. This NSF I-Core, it came out of Silicon Valley. They looked at a bunch of tech companies and how they evolved and what the successful ones did correctly, and they basically came up with a curriculum. It said, they're spreading this around the country. The idea is you could use this for an idea that might be a new phone app. It could be a prosthetic hand. It could be mechanical. It could be electrical. It could be anything. It could Dr. Hatchett, who was on before, if he wanted, he has patents. If he wanted to look at commercializing and starting a business, he could get a student team together to go through this process to evaluate the tech commercialization potential for his idea.
Putting people into the real world.
Right, exactly.
Brendan OToole, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. It's wonderful. And that is it for tonight. Thanks for being with us. Join us again on our next episode of The Research Files. I'm Gary Waddell. Good night.